The first week of June 2026 feels like a threshold, something that has been emotionally open since 2019 is beginning to close for every zodiac sign. And you can already feel the shift in the first days of this month. The energy of this week is not loud, it is directional. Messages arrive, conversations happen, certain realizations become impossible to ignore anymore. At the same time, something new is quietly preparing itself behind the scenes. This is the beginning of one of the biggest astrological months of 2026. Watch your rising sign first, then your sun, then your moon. Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. The first week of June feels deeply personal for Aries, a long chapter connected to identity, confidence, and your sense of direction is beginning to close. Around June 1st, a message or conversation may arrive that makes you realize how much you have changed since 2019. There is also strong momentum around money, communication, and online work this week. Something you have been building quietly starts showing signs that it can actually become stable. The second and third look especially supportive for romance, social media, or creative visibility. This week is less about forcing momentum and more about recognizing that your life is already moving. Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This week brings the ending of a cycle Taurus has carried internally for years. Patterns of self-sabotage, exhaustion, or emotional isolation begin surfacing clearly enough that you can finally separate yourself from them. At the same time, career conversations start opening. The second and third may bring important news around work, money, or long-term direction. There is also support around home, family, or a living situation becoming more stable. Mars in your sign gives you drive this week, but the real shift is internal. You are starting to understand what has been draining your energy and what no longer deserves access to it. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. June starts with movement around money and career for Gemini. The first days of the month bring clarity around friendships, future goals, and where you truly belong. Certain people may naturally fall away now. At the same time, Mercury enters your money house for an unusually long stay, which is extremely important for earning, communication, content creation, and online visibility. The second and third carry especially strong energy for career, news, negotiations, launches, or ideas connected to social media and business. This week brings a period where your voice becomes directly connected to your income. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Cancer enters June with one of the strongest energy of any sign. A long wound connected to career, purpose, and feeling emotionally disconnected from your work begins reaching its conclusion this week. The first days of June bring momentum around online work, publishing, education, or digital income. Conversations happening now matter more than they appear. You are also entering one of the luckiest months of the year overall, and you may already feel the opening beginning behind the scenes. Pay attention to ideas arriving around June 3rd. Something connected to your future direction is trying to come through clearly now. Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. The first week of June feels strangely emotional for real. You may feel more reflective, quieter, or spiritual aware than usual. A long chapter connected to meaning, belief systems, or your larger direction in life is beginning to close. At the same time, something behind the scenes is preparing a financial or professional opening for you. The second especially looks favorable for recognition, support from powerful people, or career movement beginning quietly in the background. Do not underestimate the importance of the rest of this week. A lot is rearranging itself internally before it becomes visible externally. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. June begins with major movement around long-term goals for Virgo. A financial or emotional burden you have carried since 2019 starts loosening its grip during the first days of the month. At the same time, Mercury moves into your house of networks, future plans, and career expansion for an unusual long period. The people entering your life now matter. The second and third bring a supportive energy for contracts, conversations, or partnerships beginning to stabilize. This week is about realizing that you are not thinking small anymore. Your future is starting to feel bigger than your past. Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. The first week of June opens an important career chapter for Libra. A long wound connected to relationship, business partnerships, or feeling misunderstood by others begins reaching resolution now. Career momentum starts building immediately. The second and third are especially important for professional conversations, connections, and visibility. Something begins moving at the top of your chart. You may also feel pressure around shared finances and responsibilities this week, but the energy overall is moving in your favor. This is the beginning of a much larger professional expression. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Scorpio enters June with clarity finally beginning to arrive. A long cycle connected to work stress, health, debt, or exhaustion begins reaching its turning point during the first days of the month. At the same time, your vision for your future becomes clearer. Education, publishing, travel, entrepreneurship, or spiritual direction all begin opening more strongly now. The second and the third carry supportive financial energy connected to work or shared resources. This week feels like the beginning of reorientation. You are remembering where you actually want your life to go. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. The first week of June begins the ending of a very long emotional cycle for Sagittarius. A wound connected to love, creativity, confidence, or feeling emotionally starts closing now. At the same time, important financial conversations begins opening around shared money, inheritance, debt, or investments. The first days of the month carry especially strong energy for clarity around family finances or long-term security. Emotionally, this week feels like release. You are beginning to separate yourself from something that has quietly hurt for years. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. June begins with relationship themes becoming impossible for Capricorn to ignore. A long wound connected to home, family, or emotional belonging reaches a major closing point during the first week. At the same time, partnerships become central. Important conversations happen now around love, business, commitment, or future plans involving another person. The second and third especially support agreements, contracts, or decisions connected to stability. This week is about realizing that your future is no longer something you build completely alone. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. The first week of June begins with emotional clarity for Aquarius. A long chapter connected to communication, writing, social confidence, or feeling understood finally begins to resolve itself. Messages arriving now matter. Conversations with siblings, online connections, or people from your daily environment may carry much more emotional weight than expected. Work and financial improvements also begin quietly opening this week. Something around your routine, health, or earning structure starts moving toward resolution. You are entering a period where your daily life becomes lighter. Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Pisces enters June with one of the strongest energetic opening of the entire zodiac. A long wound connected to money, self-worth, and financial stability begins finally reaching closure during this first week. At the same time, creative and romantic energy becomes extremely active. The first days of June support home decisions, financial conversations, and building stronger emotional foundations. You may also begin noticing new momentum around your creativity, social media presence, or personal projects. This week feels like proof that something is finally changing in your favor. The first week of June is not the climax of the month, it's the opening door. The conversations happening now, the emotions surfacing now, and the clarity arriving now are preparing every sign for what comes next. Because the second week of June carries one of the luckiest astrological alignments of 2026. And this first week is already setting the stage for it. Drop your rising sign in the comments and tell me what is already beginning to shift for you.